Hey mama, Mitch Blackford here with Fun Rich Mom. Gotta admit, I've been dragging my feet a little bit on recording this episode. You know why? You ever feel like you're just telling everyone what needs to get done and it just ain't happening? Well, that's because your timing may not be their timing. And that's why I've been dragging my feet because I don't want to always be like, guess what? You got to make a change. But sometimes there are times in our life where we have some changes that we need to make. And this was definitely one that I had to work on and something that I've kind of been seeing coming up a lot. So I felt like it was time. So, with that, you ready? Let's get started. Okay, so this topic of your timing may not be their timing. I know exactly what you want to hear. It's like, what are you talking about? I have great timing. Well, let me give you a little example. This story that I saw unfolding before me that really reminded me of why this was an important topic to talk about. So, I was helping out somewhere, and to help everybody remain anonymous, I had this scene happen in front of me where a mom had come to pick up her child. And he was, a boy, maybe, I don't know, between 8 and 10 years old. Well, when she came in, you could see there was obviously some stress on her face and something was going on, but she kind of did what we do when we're stressed out. And she just started barking orders at her son. She was like, go get your jacket, put your jacket on. And so the son had been walking towards her and he stops and he's like, oh, okay. So he starts to walk to go grab his jacket. Well, there were some balls laying around. She's like, oh, go pick up the ball. Why didn't you put up the balls? And so he stops his trip to the jacket and he starts going after the ball. And immediately she's like, go put on your jacket. Why didn't you get your jacket on? And in that moment, I just saw this kid, like his face just stop, like, what am I supposed to do? Which one do I go to first? Because I'm really confused right now. And this kind of went back and forth for another minute until finally the balls were put up, the jacket was on, and they took off in a huff and puff. And I was just watching, no judgment, because I realized, okay, how many times have I done this and been there, right? And just not realized it. Because as women, we have a tendency to just kind of verbally download what's going on in our heads. And it's not necessarily in any particular order, but we know in our minds what our process is and how we would do it. So when we see someone who we have communicated to not doing it in our way, especially those little someones that we have birthed, then we automatically start making those adjustments, right? No, it needs to be this way, it needs to be this way. And part of that is good because we do need to teach and help them to learn. And part of that is we're so on autopilot, we don't realize that we're causing this confusion and this stress in our kids. And they're just like shutting down. And that's why it gets to the point like when they're teenagers, all they hear from us is wah, 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 that we've become the Charlie Brown teacher. They just tune us out because we're giving so much information and backtracking, they don't even know where to go. And this is probably not an everyday thing. Maybe it is, but it happens often enough. And I've seen it happening, not just in that example right there. I've seen it with myself. I've seen it with friends. I've seen it everywhere. And so I wanted to go through some of the ways that I started using once I realized, oh my gosh, I need to change this up because it is not working. And what has created some peace and calm in our house where things actually get done and I don't feel like I'm not being heard. And at the same time, my kids don't feel like they're just being like they're little robots that I get to control as I please. Like we forget that sometimes that our kids are these little humans that have things going on and they want to finish too. They want to do their thing. And when we come in, we're like, you need to clean your room. You need to do this. You need to do that. No, now. It's like, dude, what the heck? Do you not see I was doing something here? Like, this is important to me too. But in our minds, it's not as important as our timing. And so we start to tell them that in a way, they're not as important as what we want and what we want done. And I know that is definitely not the message that any of us are wanting to send. It's just this unintentional side effect. And so what I started doing was creating an overview of my day. You can do it the night before, you can do it the morning up. I personally prefer to do it in the mornings. I tend to get up early, I work out, and then after I work out, I feel like I have this fresh mind and this perspective on my day. I can look at my calendar, I can look at what needs to be done, and I can write out my little list, which I love writing the list because then I get to check it off. And sometimes I even put things on that I've already done so I can check it off. Is it cheating? I don't know. I did it, right? But that gives me the time where I can plan it out. I can download all of the things that are in my brain. I can avoid that last minute chaos. And I can also put it in an order that makes sense so that I don't just become this person that's barking orders at everybody. And then when the girls get up, we sit down, we have breakfast, and I give them the overview of the day. I let them know, okay, hey, these are the things that we've got going on. This is, we're going to start here, we're going to move to this, and then that's next. And these are some of the things that I need your help to get done. And we're all calm, it's conversational, we're having a good time. What's nice is they feel free to respond and say, oh, hey, can we do this too? Or, oh, we're going to the store again? I don't want to go to the store. And that's the moment where it's not a fight. I can say, hey, maybe we can fit the park in today. Or no, it's raining, so we're not going to go to the park, but maybe we can do an obstacle course in the house or something else. Or, hey, well, I know you don't want to go to the store. It's not the most fun thing in the world. However, if you would like to eat dinner tonight, I would probably recommend that we go to the store. Oh, okay, we'll go to the store. And so it's a much better conversation where I can actually take the time and we can have good conversations about it versus me just barking at them, feeling stressed and being like, why? Just stop. Just listen to me and do as you're told, right? Which I hope you've never been there, but I may have been there once or twice. Just say. So it just kind of tones down those moments of possible monster rage. So the other thing that I've noticed makes a big difference is realizing where are your kids at, right? What age are they at? What can they actually handle? Because a lot of the times, like I said, when we do those downloads, we're just blah, 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 throwing everything out because we know we can handle that list and we know what it would take. But that might be a lot of information or too much for a younger kid to handle. So with my girls, they're, 7 and almost 6. Woohoo! I know I can give them this many things to handle. So just as an example, now this is something they do automatically because it's just part of our morning routine, but I'm going to use this as an example. We eat breakfast. Okay. You need to brush your teeth. You need to get dressed. You need to make your beds, right? And you need to empty the dishwasher. Then you need to get your school books out. Like these are some of the things. But if I just start loading it off like that, let's just say this is not routine, but just stuff I'm throwing at them, it's too much for them. And then I'm going to get mad because maybe they don't do it in my order, like they got the school books out. Why are you getting the school books out first? You're not dressed. You didn't brush your teeth, or whatever it is. So I know, okay, if these are the things that I want them to get done first, let me tell them those things first, and maybe just tell them 3 things like, hey, go brush your teeth, make your bed, get dressed. And I don't care what order they do it in. Those are just the first things. As long as they get done, we're cool. Like if they want to make their bed first, oh well, that's fine. I don't care if you brush your teeth last. It still got done, right? So that's another thing is sometimes letting go of our process. And as women, we're very process oriented. Why is that? Because it's like a matter of life and death for us. And this goes back to our gathering days where having processes was literally the thing that could save us or that could break us. And, the best way I can describe it is if you've ever had a friend or maybe your husband or one of the kids and you guys are doing dishes and someone else starts loading the dishwasher and you're rinsing dishes and you keep looking over. And you're like, oh my gosh, they're loading it the wrong way. And like you're literally getting anxiety in your chest about the fact that they are not loading it the right way. And if it's your kid, you're just gonna stop them and like, no, I got it. But like if it's a friend, you're like, do I stop her and tell her, or do I just wait until she goes to the bathroom and rearrange it so it's my way and I know that they'll get done, right? It's the freaking dishwasher. The dishwasher is gonna clean it. It's gonna be okay. Same thing here. It doesn't matter if they brush the teeth first or make the bed first. It's gonna get done. They'll be okay, right? Most situations these days are not life and death. Relax. Take a breath. Let them do it their way. Guess what? They will be more likely to do it without a fight. And that's really the ultimate goal. So chunk things down. Chunk things down into bite-sized pieces that people can actually handle and let them do it in their way. Okay? So that has just eliminated so much anxiety, stress, or last minute chaos in the household for us. Now we're going to move up in age and we're going to take this whole timing situation to our marriages. Oh, she said it. It's true. I know. Okay, so perfect example of this. I got some friends. Her timing is the second it comes out of my mouth. Now we're doing it. Now, 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 now. It should have been done yesterday. That's her timing. His timing, very methodical, at his pace, meticulous, takes as much time as it needs to take. You can feel the conflict happening as I speak, right? You might actually be experiencing the conflict as we speak, going, oh my gosh, how do we overcome this? It's basically the same principles. So if you didn't see the episode last week, the Come As You Are with Rebecca Claiborne, I love how she does this. So I would recommend watching it. But she and her husband, each Sunday, they sit down together and they do what they call their State of the Union. And they even have little Google talking points so that they don't forget things that came up through, that they wanted to say, which I think is brilliant. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that. Andrew and I we do calendars. So everything gets put in a shared calendar and we'll look at it every day. And if something is really important and we put it in the calendar, we always make sure that we mention it to the other person. Hey, I just put this in the calendar. It's going to be on this date at this time. I want to make sure that you're aware of it now because it's going to be big or whatever, right? And if we have projects coming up, we'll talk about it, that sort of thing. But I like how they do it every week, Sundays. They just sit down and they basically overview the week. They look at, okay, what appointments do we have? What projects do we have? What needs to be done? Who is doing what? Who's running someone where? And it just makes it so that, okay, we know who's got what. We know it's being taken care of. And that right there is huge. And you have agreement as to the timing, okay? It might not be the right now, but it's also not going to be the when it gets done. It's going to be the we agree on this time frame together. That makes both of us feel comfortable. That makes both of us feel heard. And then the next thing is, how can we support each other to make this happen? So you ask your husband, how can I support you to make this happen? And then you let him know, this is what I need from you to help me to make this happen, okay? And now both of you feel like you've been heard, both of you know what's going on, and both of you know the ultimate timing of what's going to be happening. So for example, in our house, how this works, like we have a couple of cats and one of them is diabetic now, which means he pees all the time. And they used to go outside, which was wonderful, but now he has to use a litter box, which is not so wonderful because all of the things that come with it. But that litter box needs to be cleaned all the time. And for a while, I was handling the all the time. And so I needed to let Andrew know, hey, I need your help with this because it's literally an insane amount of cleaning this litter box. And I don't want to be doing it all the time. I need your help. And he's like, okay, cool. So then he asked me for what he needed. He said, can you remind me? We decided we'd do it every other day. He's like, can you remind me? Because I'll forget. And so I was like, okay, that's fine. And so that's what I would do. And then after a while, I realized I don't like reminding him because it makes me feel like I'm nagging and like I'm mothering him. And I don't like being in that position. And so now we adjust. And that's the cool thing is nothing is written in stone. You guys can always adjust. Now it's like, hey, set an alarm that will remind you for you. So that way I don't have to feel like I'm being the nag, but you're also getting the reminder that you need. And I'm getting the support and help that I need with cleaning the litter box. Okay. So something as simple as that. There's no nagging. There's no screaming. There's no, you never do this. I'm the one that's doing this all the time. Well, how, if he doesn't know that it's bothering me or doesn't realize how often I'm doing it, how can I expect him to step up and help out if he doesn't know that? So that's why having those overview conversations, letting each other know, this is what I need from you. This is how you can support me. And knowing that, hey, we agreed on a time frame. So just because you would do something at the beginning of the week and maybe he's doing it the last day of the week, as long as it gets done in the agreed time frame, leave them alone about it. They're getting it done. Now, if they're not getting it done, it's another conversation, right? And that's something that you guys can get into and figure out a way. How do we do these time frames better? Because This is causing me a lot of stress. And when I'm stressed out, I am not a happy wife. And when I'm not a happy wife, you're probably not a happy husband. And we don't want that, right? Or vice versa, right? So that's another conversation that you guys can have and figure it out. But overall, just realize, let's get on the same page together. Let's plan this out in advance so we both feel heard and we're not in this last minute, or if last minute stuff comes up, it's not such a. The other thing that I really want to point out again is tone. So I had a friend that had a tone that was very demanding. And she had no idea that when she spoke, she sounded like she was just bossing everyone around. In her mind, she was literally just saying what she thought and communicating ideas. And so we actually had a conversation one time where I was like, man, why are you always bossing me around? Like, I feel like you're just always telling me what to do and it's getting on my nerves. And she said, what? I don't do that. I'm like, you do it all the time. She's like, I'm just telling you what I think. I'm just giving you suggestions. And she had no idea that her tone was really forceful. And so that's something that she started working on. And that's something that we also need to recognize as well, because sometimes I've caught myself doing this where I just start getting on my roll. And I'm like, ooh, I don't sound very like friendly and approachable and like, hey, let's do this together. I sound like I am out to get you and you better do it my way right now. Like, no wonder everybody's just like, I want to be around you. No, mom's on the rampage. Get away. And so this goes both ways, both with your kids, both with your marriage, and then also help them out. If they have a tone that's driving you nuts, let them know, hey, you know what? I don't know if you recognize this, but when you talk to me about this, it tends to come off this way. And my guess is that's not what you're meaning, but this is how it seems to me. And I'm having a hard time taking that in. Do you think we can work on a little bit of tone adjustment? Much better way than like, don't talk to me like that. Or defenses just go up. Okay, so that's really this whole conversation in a nutshell. It's nice, it's simple, it's quick, but just as a recap, we're looking at overviewing our days, planning out our days either the night before or the day of, communicating it with the people that need to be communicated with so that they have input or that they get the lay of the land before so that they know what's going on, and chunking things down into pieces that we can handle, and also letting go of our processes. As long as it gets done and it gets done how it needs to be done, it doesn't matter, right? The process doesn't have to be yours. And then having that State of the Union. I love it. I'm going to stick with that. State of the Union meeting with your husband so that you guys can get on the same page, discuss timelines where you both feel comfortable with the time frame that it's going to be done in. One of you is probably going to have to relax a little bit. One of you is going to have to speed it up a little bit, right? Maybe you guys are more similar, so that would be awesome too. And then just really working on tone and giving each other the space and the support to make it happen. Peace, calm, happiness, yay! So simple. But one of the biggest things that I just want to throw in there that has really helped me though is breathing. I notice when I start to tense up and I start to feel overwhelmed and I notice that I'm just like in task hunter mode, like, get out of my way. And I'm like, do this, do that, is stepping back and taking a breath. Literally just like I had to really pay attention at first to realize what my body's signals were, what my feelings were, to notice, I'm going in that direction that I don't want to be in. Now I've been able to hone in on it a lot faster. Sometimes it gets away from me, but for the most part, when I start to see those signals like bing, 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 it's like automatically stop. I stop whatever I'm doing and I take a breath. Literally breathe, remind myself, I'm the one adulting here. I'm supposed to have emotional regulation. Maybe I should act like I do. And then if I was the other person that was listening to me right now, would I be excited about it? Or would I be like wanting to hide under a pillow about it? So what tone do I need to change into? And that one thing has literally changed so much in my life, especially when it comes to like the monster rage or just all of that stress and anxiety. It just brings down those blood levels, oxygenates my brains, lets me think, and get back in a much more empowered state. So add that in there too. I know, so many things. Check, 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 check. Lots of things for you to add in, but really, in the end, not so hard. So I'm going to leave you with a joke now. You ready? If you have 12 apples in one hand and 18 oranges in the other hand, what do you have? Really big hands. Okay. If there was something in here that really spoke to you, drop me a comment. Let me know what that was. I would love to hear it. Or if there's something that you would like to hear more of, let me know as well. And if there's someone that you were thinking of really needs to hear this, but you don't want to be the one to say it, share this episode with them. Let me do the talking for you. I would love that. And of course, subscribe so you can get future alerts of these. And I just thank you for being here. I love spending this time with you. With that, go out there, make it fun, make it rich, and I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.